It's time for my favourite panel. Former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger and former Labor Minister Stephen Conroy. Gentlemen, so good to speak to you again.
Andrew?
And I can't wait for a stoush here. So let's talk about these IR laws. I spoke to Tony Burke earlier. He claims the Labor high... I think we might play these grabs in future. We'll see. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He claims the Labor high laws will mostly affect big mining and aviation. He says they won't affect more than 67,000 workers. The business community is really sceptical about this. They say service contractors will be affected. He says businesses, unions can apply on that, but they'll have no luck. What do you make of that, Michael Kroger?
Well, Andrew, we've only last year passed the 50th anniversary of the appointment of Clyde Cameron as the Labor Minister in the Whitlam government. And Tony is showing all of the signs that Clyde showed when he became Minister for Labor under Gough, a zealotry zeal, a zeal for reform, too close to the trade union movement. That's what happened with Cameron and ultimately led to his downfall after his fight with the public sector unions, etc. What we know about Burke, basically this is an attack on independent contractors, people who are not unionised. That's at the core of what Tony Burke is trying to do. Every corner of the labour market in this country which is not unionised, where people think for themselves, employ themselves, don't want to be don't want to be employees, they want to be independent contractors. This has long been a campaign by Labor against independent contractors, and of course more recently against the High Court decision which said contracts are contracts and they apply. So this is the beginning of a long campaign by Burke, and I simply say that major industrial relations reforms, dressed up as very minor of course as these are, another minor reform by the Albanese government, industrial relations reform has not served either party well in the last 2 decades, Andrew.
All right, Michael. Well, this is how minor it is. I'm going to show this again. Here's I don't know if Stephen can see this. Here's the Act. It's 280 pages. Listen to the thump on that. And here's the explanatory memorandum. It's 500 pages. Looks pretty minor to me, Michael. Not much to see here.
Well,
Stephen,
believe it or not,
Andrew,
Andrew, I had the pleasure of going through that today, trying to find the out clauses for the wage theft that Steve and I were talking about on Andrew Bolt's program last night. Very hard to find in the explanatory memorandum or the legislation, the details of wage theft. But anyway, I'll hand over to Stephen. No doubt he's been poring over it as well, Andrew.
Look, Stephen, I was going to go to the gym later and do some weights. So I think I'll just use that. Anyway, what do you reckon about all this? Do you believe the minister? I suppose you do.
You've got to love Michael. He's been giving that same speech for that same 50 years. Because what's happening in this country is that wages have been falling for most of the last 10 years. And now we've had inflation go zoom, and workers have been slammed. So what we know is for 10 years, the industrial relations system has massively favoured the employer. Massively. If you look at what's called the wage profit share of the economy, this is the graph that should be, tattooed on Michael's forehead. It shows that the wage part of the economy has gone down and down and down. Profits have gone on up and up and up. I mean, Michael's actually trying to defend mining companies, the most profitable companies in the country / world, and he's objecting to them paying their workers a bit more money. I mean, the Liberals cried poor, the business community going, oh, we need wages to grow. People said, well, what can Labor do? Well, this is what Labor's doing. We've had national wage submissions arguing for increased wages. We're now putting in place protections for workers who have been getting done over because they're being marginalised and contracted. These are good legislation, good Labor legislation, and all I'd say is every time the Liberals try and fight on IR, they lose. So, Michael, I hope you give that speech every day for the next 2 years until the next election.